The decision-making process for a title was we kind of just thought about terms that were catchy and that related back to books. So we, went through things like the margin and the edge, and then we settled on the title that we have now, which is Unbound, and that still relates back to artist books.
So a little bit about the process of how we chose our pieces and why we did. We started with just like a general idea, and we knew that we could only pick things that are within the museum. So we started by looking at the online catalog and going through the pieces, and we really started by just looking at what was interesting to us and that could possibly be an artist book. And after going through that process, we got together and discussed them, figuring out which ones we could put into the category of an artist book or not, to kind of rule some of them out. And then from there, we all, as a group together, made an effort to do a little bit of research on each piece, and then just kind of went from there, picking the ones that were most interesting and just going through it that way.
We pulled up the online catalog for the museum and kind of were just going through the Works on Paper collection. We did some research with the librarian because there are many pieces that aren't actually online, but for the most part we were just looking through Works on Paper, trying to find things that were interesting to us. In the early stages of the project, we gave a requirement that each of us come up with 4 or 5 pieces and then do some research on it, and then we would present them to the class. That turned into all of us just kind of talking about what we had, what we were interested in, and from there we narrowed it down to pieces that were somewhat famous, somewhat recognizable, but still had some really interesting works behind them. So I know that there's a couple of really interesting pieces by Rauschenberg and Jasper Johns, and it wasn't that we specifically went out looking for them, it was just we were kind of scrolling through and we found things that looked cool, so we started messing around with them.
The theme itself emerged after, the works we selected. We kind of just looked at all the pieces we had and found a common thread throughout. We didn't have a theme first and then select the works. We kind of just let it emerge naturally. I think the significance of this collection of work is that some of the people included, like Rauschenberg, were really pioneers of this movement of artist books, and I think that it also is talking about important issues. Like we have Kara Walker's Freedom of Fable in this exhibition, and that's talking about issues of race and things like that. That's really important in this current political climate. So I think we're addressing issues that can be taken in present day, but also talking about the origins of the movement itself. To create a coherent exhibition, I think it's really important to be attacking everything from all angles, because if it's just one person, there's quite a bit that you could miss. So what was nice about working in our group of 9 to 10 was that we had many different ideas and many different perspectives, so that really helped us in avoiding blind spots and helped us figure things out that me or someone else might not necessarily think of, but someone else in the exhibition class might understand better. One of the students' name is Amy, and she's an art education major, or she has an art education degree already, and she was really pushing for some sort of like educational component, whether it existed in the museum or existed like in the exhibition itself, or like a pamphlet or something. And we decided on a Saturday class that we're going to try to execute, and I think that's a really great way to do community outreach, as opposed to just me thinking about like, oh, let's just make a great exhibition and put it up. I thought that her bringing in the educational outreach was a great way to include the community in this as well.